So yeah, I keep seeing this conversation pop up everywhere. Is there a real difference between a vibe coder and a developer? Honestly, the more I think about it, the less I buy that there's a hard line. If you're building apps solo in 2025 using AI tools, spinning up prototypes in a weekend, hacking together features with whatever actually works, aren't we all kind of vibe coders now? Or maybe we always were and we just didn't call it that. For me, even with a proper dev background, I'm still 100% vibing, and I've been doing it since back in the sketch days when I was mostly a UI designer, just poking around. This video isn't here to settle anything, it's just a conversation. If you're a solo dev, especially using Claude, Codex, or Cursor, I want to know how you see it too. Drop your story in the comments. Let's actually talk about it. Just real quick, I'm Daniel. I've been in the iOS trenches for 8 years now. Started out freelancing, helping clients ship their ideas, learning the hard way what actually works and what just burns you out. But after Dub 25, I went all in on solo dev. Since then, I've shipped a bunch of my own apps, started building everything out in public, and lately, Crafter's Lab is where I've been putting all my energy. It isn't just another tutorial site or Discord to scroll past. This is my real home base for solo devs who treat AI like a teammate, not just a vending machine. Every deep dive guide, app blueprint, design workflow, even the exact Notion, team spaces I use daily, they're all live here. SwiftBrain, the full agents ops, and even my own playbook with real MD files. It's all finally in one place on a private, indie first platform. If you want real systems, real code, and a real community for solo devs, not just another AI clone farm, that's what I'm building. And yeah, if you're part of the Patreon crew, huge thanks. And heads up, everything's moving over to crafterslab.dev. So yeah, let's just rewind the clock a little. My whole solo dev story, honestly, it didn't even start with code, you know what I mean? Not really. I was juggling university, working part time in this little restaurant, just kind of surviving. And the whole world was all in on that Joni Ive flat design vibe. Apple was everything back then. I remember looking at those clean UI lines and thinking, man, I have no idea how I'd get in on this, but I have to find a way. And anyway, the only thing I could actually do was start freelancing iOS UI design. So I was just making mock-ups, poking around in Sketch, taking on any job I could find. But let's be honest, the real game was happening on the side in those weird little late night app experiments. Was I a developer? No way. Was I a designer? Not really. Mostly I was just vibing, you know. Half the time I was grabbing random chunks of SpriteKit code from some YouTube video, pasting it in, hoping it would actually run, and kind of just seeing what broke first. And yeah, I don't know, those apps were a mess. Nothing fancy, half of them crashed if you tapped the wrong button, but that was honestly the magic, because it wasn't about building something polished. It was about seeing what you could hack together if you just tried, even if you barely knew what you were doing. That's what actually built my dev brain. I wasn't following some perfect roadmap. It was like, okay, let's see what happens if I mash this together with that. Steal a little trick from Stack Overflow and hope for the best. No joke, most of my learning to code was just collecting snippets. Like, my Notion was basically a junk drawer of Stack Overflow answers. I had no system, no plan, just this messy pile of, well, maybe this will work next time. And the funny thing is, the more I fumbled around, the more I started thinking like an actual builder. Not because I got good, just because I kept vibing, trying, riffing, patching, remixing. You know, you ever feel like you're making it up as you go, but somehow it's still progress? That was all of us. Especially if you came up solo, no team, just a handful of tools and the internet as your rubber duck. And right, that's the thing nobody really says out loud. Pretty much every indie dev I know started exactly like this. You're not born with clean architecture or perfect code. You start by copying, vibing, slapping stuff together, and seeing what you can ship before it breaks. And honestly, that's still the energy I try to bring into everything I build now. So, yeah, fast forward a bit. Suddenly, I'm landing more actual freelance gigs for iOS apps, but honestly, I'm still coming in with that designer first mindset. UI kit was everywhere, right? And back then, everyone was obsessed with one debate, storyboard or no storyboard. People were almost religious about it. Me, I was just, I don't know, vibing my way through it, trying stuff, shipping half broken features, fixing them in real time. No plan, no roadmap, just let's see if I can get this thing to not crash by tomorrow. You know what I mean? And honestly, here's the thing. Even before vibe coding was totally a thing, we just didn't have the word for it yet. My notion was basically this endless graveyard of code snippets and little helpers. Some I understood, most I barely remembered adding, but that was my toolbox. If something got me unstuck once, it lived there. That was my AI before there was any actual AI. The wild part? That vibe never really left. When SwiftUI hit the scene, the doors just blew open. Suddenly, it wasn't just me. The whole indie dev world went all in. I remember hopping into every Twitch stream, watching every single dub session, posting UI challenges on Instagram every weekend. It was just all of us still vibing, still mostly winging it, still patching code together from wherever we could find it. Maybe 20% discipline, 80% let's try this and see what happens. If you've ever felt that way, yeah, that's the energy. But okay, so now the game changes. We've got AI agents like Claude, Codex, cursor in our corner, need a Swift UI view built out, just prompt it. Want a gnarly refactor done? Let the model plan it for you. Suddenly, all that messy, experimental vibe coding is actually the workflow. It's like having your own little brain trust sitting next to you, except you can just ask for the heavy lifting, let them figure it out, and then tweak it to feel like your own. So, yeah, not gonna lie, if anything, legit, because it doesn't matter if you're old school and still ripping code from blog posts, or you're getting Claude to auto generate half your Swift UI view. The energy is the same. You're still hacking, patching, riffing, remixing, building from what's around you and seeing what lands. And honestly, that's the best part. That's what keeps it fun. You know, sometimes I think about all those old half-broken SpriteKit games or the stack of code snippets that got me through UIKit, and then look at how I use AI today, and it's like, yeah, we're all still vibing. The tools just got better. All right, so here's where I end up with this whole vibe coding thing, right? It's kind of wild to look back after 10 years. A bunch of shipped apps, a little stint at glassfi.io, and now doing the whole solo dev thing on my own. And yeah, I'm still vibing, still hacking my way out of corners, still using whatever tools actually keep me moving, still winging half of it some days. The only thing that's really changed, the toolbox just got way, way better. And the workflow is, I don't know, more dialed in, but honestly, just as loose around the edges. And yeah, it's funny because every time I hear someone draw that line, like, oh, vibe coders over here, real developers over there, and well, it just makes less and less sense. I mean, come on. We're all building, we're all figuring it out as we go. That's the whole point, you know? The tools are there so you can close the gap between whatever crazy ideas bouncing around your brain and something you can actually ship, right? That's it. No joke. I think the reason that the solo dev world even works at all is because we all quietly admit shortcuts are fine, code snippets are gold, AI agents, templates, whatever it takes. Nobody's sitting around shipping perfect code every night. We're just trying to get to flow and actually finish things. So, for what it's worth, it really doesn't matter if you started out copying UI code from some YouTube tutorial or if you've been doing production Swift since before Swift UI was even a thing. Like, I've seen both ends, and it's still the same basic game. You just keep building, keep iterating, keep vibing your way forward until it works. The only real difference now is how open it all feels. It's like, okay, AI's in the mix, you can team up with models, riff with other devs online, and suddenly this thing that always felt super solo, it actually turns into a weird little team sport, even if you're the only one in the room at 2 a.m. And yeah, look, if you're using Claude or Codex or Cursor for your swiftui builds, or you're deep in that, do I even count as a real dev? Spiral, I just trust me, you're already vibing. You always have been. That's the actual solo indie dev life. Doesn't matter where you started. Nobody gets to say the vibe doesn't count if you're building, learning, getting a little better each time. That's it. You're doing it. That's the only rule I care about. And yeah, if you're still here, honestly, I appreciate you hanging out and just vibing through this with me. For real, vibe coding isn't just some trend or throwaway label. It's actually how most of us get through the mess and ship something real, especially as solo indie devs. There's no right way to do it. There's no secret club if you're building, if you're shipping, if you're just trying to make it work, you're already part of the crew. And, that's why I started Crafters Lab in the first place. I wanted a space where that raw, messy, just try it and see what happens. Energy is not only welcome, but kind of celebrated. If you want to get deeper, share your own stories, or honestly just see what other solo devs are hacking on, swing by crafterslab.dev. It's not just a platform, it's literally my indie home base. Everything I'm building, all the deep dives, the workflows, the real Notion docs, even my agents and the weirdest Swift hacks I use day to day. It's all there. So, yeah, before you go, if any of this resonated, drop a comment below. I actually do read everyone. Let me know how you're building, what your vibe coder moment was, or just say, hey, if you want more, you know where to find me, and you can always check out crafterslab.dev for the kind of stuff you won't get anywhere else. All right, keep building, keep vibing, and don't let anyone talk you out of your momentum. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.